Kelly, do you have some good news for us?
Well, I sure hope so, because I like to look at this as not if the renewal passed, but when it passed. And certainly our state of the schools guides how we're spending money, right? So we're going to give this a moment to migrate.
So, to Kelly's point, while she's getting this ramped up here, and Gary, you and I have talked about this, I don't like looking out. I know this, we're mandated to look out 5 years, it's in law. I really don't like looking out beyond 3 years because you don't know what's coming.
Think about this. I sat here, 2 Novembers ago and looked at numbers. We were 2.8 million deficit, and I'm thinking, what in the world am I walking into here? And through some focus and some change and fair funding and some different things, the fact that Rocky Pipeline, a little bit, money came back in. You don't know in 2 years exactly where we're going to be. That's the best guess, and we really want to be solid for 3. But if you're saying I'm absolutely 100% year 4 or 5, you don't know what the laws are, how that's going to impact any of us. So enrollment and whatnot. So most schools really focus on that first 3, but you certainly want to, have a good guess for year 4 or 5.
Well, we don't know. I mean, everybody's heard about Trenton expanding neighborhoods
Absolutely.
and whatever. So
we have growth coming.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So I always like to begin by the state of the schools. When you talk to our community members, this slide depicts what they say about Edgewood. A lot of family pride, community, tradition, heritage, and I have to tell you, that is a great sign. So when you think of Edgewood, our families are saying it's about traditions, it's about family, and that's what it should be about. So what does our graduate look like at Edgewood? Well, that has changed over the last 3 to 5 years. 52% of our student population attend college, less than 5% enlist, 58% of our students are the first to attend college from their family, about 83% are interested in 4 years. Now, we have less than that actually graduate in 4 years. 31% are interested in 2 years, and I will tell you, I'm very impressed with the Butler Tech partnership. Butler Tech, as well as individual school districts, are doing more with Miami to try to get students to graduate with credit. What I should have on here as well, about 16% of our students graduate with at least 12 university credits, which really sets them on their way. You have seen community survey results. We've only done them 2 years, and this is a very informal survey. If we had more money, we would do something probably more credible with an outside company that really digs deep into those questions. Why are people moving? And I will say, to go back to that as I'm jumping around, I have heard, this is informal data, that rent continues to go up, so that contributes to people moving. And matter of fact, just met with a family this week as to why they had to go, and it was because of rental changes. I'm not saying that's the answer for all, but that is a factor. The highest marks we get are around parents feeling comfortable working with their students at home, the child's exposed to strong academic skills, as well as their child feels safe at school, and they feel like they receive good communication from their administration. We know we can do better around, we've had an image. Let's not forget, we've had a very bad situation that occurred about a year ago. It seemed to up the concern around bullying. And so we're going to get into some of the things we've done, but we put together a community committee about that, and we've increased some of our strategies since the survey result was focused on that. Survey takeaways are that we foster a dynamic and inclusive environment that creates a sense of belonging. We empower students, staff, and parents, and we establish an environment where everyone feels supported and valued. Now, I will tell you, that's from students and families. That's not as much from our staff that we'll get into. Most important offerings as far as what parents like most about what we offer at Edgewood are fine arts and extracurricular programs, as well as advanced placement. we doing? Well, we've had to reduce $1.2 million, which you've heard us talk about the last, I think every meeting we talk about what we've done. Although we've reduced some of our budget through staffing, we've increased professional development offerings, as well as implemented a focused 5-year curriculum. Scott always says, Kelly, we've always had curriculum adoption. Oh, it's now 6. But it's just more on a focused plan. We continue to work hard on our multi-tier systems of supports. What that means is when students aren't achieving to benchmark, what do we do either in the classroom or in small groups to fill that gap? We've tried to increase opportunities around student engagement, community engagement, as well as leadership, ministerial engagement. We continue with that. I don't think we've upped it, but we continue to meet twice a year with that. We've implemented annual surveys as well as a strategic plan we'll go over, and we've also decreased chronic absenteeism. It improved by 9%. I'm not saying that we don't have it, we've improved it by 9%.
I got a question.
Yes.
All this community engagement, you talked about, I said, so like in the community input, it says, Edgewood City School District makes solvent decisions, financially solvent decisions, 35% agree. Have you asked anybody, like, so what exactly do you think that they, we could do better at? As far
Marketing
as
comes up. Marketing continues to come up. We probably need to put a little money towards that. They would like more frequent communication in regard to how we're doing financially in layman's terms that they understand. So one thing that came out of the community engagement are Tuesday tips. So once a month, a financial piece of information goes out. Now what community engagement is saying, rather than just like once a month on financial, maybe what we need to do, and this is something that we've not talked about with our administrators, are have specific days so that every day family gets some sort of Edgewood news. May it be from a building, may it be from whatever. So although we've improved in that area, community engagement is saying we need to do more. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious, because I know every time we've tried to do something as far as saving money, making cuts in different areas, there's such an outcry of how it affects the community as far, and we're trying to keep it as far away from the students as possible, but it's always an inconvenience. But yet, you see something like that, and when we're sitting up here, we made, what was it, $1.2 million in cuts and trying to be financially responsible, and I would like to hear input as far as what exactly people think that we could do differently, because I'm open for anything. I mean,
some of the things that came up in the fall is to look at staffing, things that we've been doing. It's stuff that the board has already said, wow, we've already made a lot of cuts in that area, but we haven't dug deep. Patty and I have talked about, should we put together, or maybe community engagement for a while, focuses on financial and get community input on financially what we could do better. But the bottom line is 85% of that budget, or 82%, I just exaggerated by 3%, my fault, but 82% is personnel. There's not a lot of room in there. I think you saw less than 6% was for other, there's not a whole lot of money that you can do differently.
Well,
Mark came in the other day and said, geez, if this renewal doesn't pass, I'm not for not offering transportation other than state, or not looking at athletics any further. This was just one-on-one, but the bottom line is, then you're looking at electives. There's not a whole lot of room there.
yeah, there's only certain things
Yeah.
that you can cut. And I
Right.
know we took our classroom sizes down, to be able to give our kids a better education, more one-on-one time with their teacher, but would parents rather see
More so the primary.
more,
Yeah.
correct, but instead of 20, I don't know how many kids are in
About 25.
25, would they rather see 35 kids to a
Right.
classroom?
No, nobody would say that's
no,
good.
No, you know what I mean?
Right,
No? So,
right.
I don't really know. When you're sitting here trying to weigh your options on what all to cut and how to save money and everything, it's just, I don't know, it's kind of frustrating when you see stuff like that, because
It is. Probably something I need to sit down with our unions. I'm looking over at Eric under that hat. I see you up there, buddy. Start talking about with our unions as well, and get them involved in our engagement, because that's right. There's only so much you can look at. And I think class sizes are really important. Listening to Patty's information about enrollment and possible declining, I'm sitting here thinking, as superintendent, I did make the choice to eliminate some open enrollment for kids that miss 60 or more days. Now, they're only in school 180. So you're thinking if they're out a third of the year, no wonder our results are so low. So here I'm thinking I've got to give our staff a fair shake here. Let's get them out of the mix and see how that increases achievement. But on the other hand, when you say we're down X amount of students, I'm going to tell you the open enrollment I denied is pretty close to that number, but they had missed 60 or more days. So I'm sitting here as superintendent, I'll be honest with you, I'm thinking out loud on the stage going, wow, is that what's best? Of course that's best for the academic side, but that's not best for the financial side.
I just know that, I'm going into my last year on the board, and since I've been on the board from day one, from the night I started, it's all been about how can we save money? It's cut, how can we save money? And so that's where it's frustrating when you see something like that.
It is. And this is such an important topic. We need to get everyone rallied into sharing our story, and we need to do a better job getting out there and sharing our story. Just like tonight with the State of the Schools, I'm going out to 7 Mile. Patty's going with me on Wednesday night. We were in Trenton City for a luncheon a few weeks ago. We're trying to get out there and share the story, but I think we're going to have to use multiple modalities to get that out, especially for people who don't have time to attend those settings. Because when we were at the library, some of the community members said, I had no idea that those were laws, and that's what you're up against. So we need to do a better job telling our story.
I went back to look at Patty's numbers for the district projections in terms of enrollment, and since me and you've come on the board, by 2029, we will have lost 2 grade levels if her numbers turn out to be accurate. When you think about it, we're going to lose an entire grade level between now and 2029. That is probably the biggest concern that I have right now. Is every time we lose a kid, we lose 10 grand.
Yeah. Now, Mark, just so you know, and just so the community knows, Lisa, Patty and I sit down every January and really look at that pupil-teacher ratio. So we know when we're offering contracts where we are, and we try to keep that somewhere between 22 and 30 per teacher, depending on if it's primary grades or high school. But we're not just renewing to be renewing. We look and we're very solid on that. So I do think there's some things we can look at, and this is what gets you in trouble though too. As much as people like the advanced placement, we need to make sure that we're not teaching just a class of 8 to 10, and then you have another class that very same semester of 8 to 10. We're gonna have to make sure they're all in one class and do a little bit better job that way. But that's the only thing that we could shore up. We don't want to take that opportunity away from our students, but we do need to make sure we have a full house, so to speak.
Yeah, I guess just the last thing I'd say on that, if we keep losing at the rate that we are, this is going to be a very different district in 4 years than what we've got right now. That's why I think it's so important we figure out ways to retain the people that we have and make this a district that people want to come to.
Absolutely, and stay here.
And stay here.
Absolutely. I don't know Pollyanna usually, but I truly believe people love Edgewood community. And if they knew what we're up against, if they want their programs to stay, I think they would want even more, but this climate is not the climate to be asking for more dollars. I think we need to prove that we're going to be able to sustain and then revisit this in a couple of years and reevaluate. All right, let's talk about, Gary just said to me the other day, I noticed you've not talked about the report card too much. Well, the report card is we are achieving a 3-star, which is the average in the state of Ohio. I think Edgewood's above average. There's definitely room for improvement. And where we've approved, you can see if we've gotten a 2-star somewhere, we want to definitely push in on those areas. Progress component of rating was a 2, early literacy component rating was a 2, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a second. Sometimes what plays into this is the state will change their accountability formula right in the middle of, you kind of get used to doing something a certain way, and then all of a sudden it's changed. Early literacy, that's one area that's changed. How we report below standard has changed, and therefore it looks like we're doing worse than what we typically are from the previous year. Does that make sense? So in Edgewood schools, if students were below in a red, way below grade level, that's what we always reported. Now, last year we had to report if they were close to on benchmark and way off benchmark, meaning yellow and red. And that's not helping that area, but that does not mean our kids aren't growing. We're very pleased with what we're seeing in the emergent years. Now, with that said, areas we're celebrating, if you remember, Early Childhood Center sat here with 1 star last year. We were like, how did that happen? All of that was around attendance. And Jeff worked very hard and got that up to a 4-star with his family. He's very proud of that. Edgewood Primary, 2.5 stars. Edgewood Intermediate, 3.5 stars. Edgewood Middle School, 2.5 stars. And the high school, 3 stars. All of these schools made gains in at least an area with the exception of the middle school. And I will tell you, Curtis took that personal. I was in his building the other day and he's meeting quarterly with staff and grade levels to talk about where they are with their attendance, where they are with their academics, and where they are with their behavior. So he's changed, he's also incorporated some intervention classes. If students perform below benchmark in reading or math, they're not automatically getting another PE class. They have to go to a second period of reading or math. So those extra electives are something you have to earn. We talked about report card celebrations. I would like to say that the U.S. history at the high school was the highest one-year improvement for the district. It went from 65% to 70%, so kudos to them. 4th grade math was the highest in a 4-year improvement. They went from 53 to 71. We want them at 80, but at least they're going the right direction. So although we're not pleased about being at 3, we are seeing gains in areas and spending time to focus on that. Matter of fact, our principals actually facilitated a meeting with community engagement on reading scores and math scores, and I was impressed with, they just live it, breathe it, and believe it. You can tell when they talk about that. All right, quickly, our strategic plan is all about Edgewood empowering every student, every voice, every passion. Our mission is about inspiring to be a community of lifelong learners and productive citizens. Our values around safe, respectful, responsible, and cultivating a trust. I will tell you that our attitude certainly is reflected in classrooms. And when I came in a couple years ago, I could see morale was low. I think it was low across the nation after COVID and people really second guessing themselves. And even students would say, Mrs. Spivey, I feel like all we do is online stuff and we're not even engaging with our peers. That's not what I'm hearing this year. Our goals, objectives have been all around increasing the student achievement and increasing engagement. And I think we're already seeing small little successes in those areas, and we're going to continue to see more. For the sake of time, you have heard till we're blue in the face how we're increasing learning. I talked about multi-tier. This just spells out exactly what that means, but we've already reviewed that. Patty, do you want to talk about classroom spending?
Okay.
You want me to?
Go ahead, go.
Okay, all right. So what percent of funds are spent on our classroom? About 69%. We rank 48 out of 104 school districts in the state of Ohio. You will see that our operating spending per pupil is less than the state average. State average in Ohio among all school districts is over $12,000. Edgewood, we only spend about $10,000. Classroom instruction, the same. State average is $8,292. We're paying less than $7,000. I just want to remind everyone that our school district has the least property tax than any school surrounding us. So, in my humble opinion, I think you're getting a lot for what you're paying for. Can't reiterate that enough. Source of funds, Patty already went over this, the percentage between local dollars, state dollars, federal dollars. And we talked about that over time in a 5-year forecast, we're going to have more expenditures than revenue. So what are we going to do to move forward? Well, we're going to continue with engaging our community and talking about how can we do better. We're gonna try to beef up some communication, although we do have weekly pieces of communication and quarterly superintendent updates that go out. I was at Butler Tech the other day. I know this costs money, but wow, I'd love to go to their aviation program, just watching the video about aviation. We need to do a better job selling what people get for their Edgewood buck, so to speak. I would love to see us do something like that. Matter of fact, contact the superintendent. He's supposed to get back to me. I even asked him, is there any way some students at Butler Tech can help us with this? We know that we have to continue to increase learning, and our principals and staff are working hard on the MTSS process. We are continuing to address chronic absenteeism. We're implementing a fiscal solvency plan. We look at this constantly. Sustain quality staff. You know, I'm constantly saying we have to, just because our taxpayers pay less taxes in Edgewood doesn't mean that our teachers deserve less. We have to find ways to sustain our staff and make sure that we're offering competitive salaries. We want to request the community that they certainly support us in our substitute renewal in May of 2025. That is our plan in moving forward. And I just want to share with the board that when you say, or you heard earlier Patty talking about, really this renewal just gets us another year, as Andrew said it. Well, why aren't we asking for more? Well, this was the ballot just this past week. Or was it a week or 2 weeks ago? I'm losing track of time. But out of all the schools in Ohio, the total for new money that people asked for, including substitute levies, was 33%. Total for renewals, meaning the substitutes that were renewed, 91%. That doesn't make sense to me, but I know for renewals it was 91%. Total for operating levies, 68%. What that tells me is that people are approving, as an average in the state of Ohio, renewals. They're not looking to get rid of new money very easy. So, in all, we know that what we need to do is ask for new money. We also know this is not the right time to ask for new money. Does that make sense? So we just got to continue to shore up our spending. All right, I'm not going to go over these slides. These are old slides about levies. We're going to post them. You can read them. But basically, our budgeting cycle, levy cycles are really built just to last 4 years.
Now, I got a question though.
Yes.
If we do a renewal, then it's the same money, but if we did the same amount where it wasn't a tax increase, but did basically a new money, wouldn't it add on the houses? Isn't there like subdivisions that are taxed differently?
This substitute does allow for growth, so you will get on new builds.
Oh, so it's not a renewal, it's a substitute we're talking about.
I call it renewal, but
Yeah, because she kept saying, sorry.
I say it wrong, but isn't it a substitute
It's a
renewal?
It's a substitute, but it's acting like a renewal.
Yeah, correct. A
Yes.
substitute is the same amount of money, but a renewal, you wouldn't add on the houses that weren't covered under the old money.
Right.
Yeah, okay, correct.
Do I
was
need to
just
start
making
saying
sure.
substitute, not renewal? You tell me that all the time. Okay, so another little nugget that's good to know is that our free and reduced continues to grow. We are now up to 53% of our students that qualify for free and reduced. A lot of people ask what would it take to get more funding in the schools, and it would take our students to be at 75% before lunch would be paid for, before there'd be some graces and some other things given. But that concludes our State of the Schools. We're going to post this on our website. If you have questions, Patty and I are always here to answer anything.